And joining us right now in studio is the curator, Larry Ossei-Mensah, who's here with us. And congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, listen, a lot of hard work going into that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So talk to us about this. You really wanted to focus and had this special focus. You had artists from Washington Heights, the Bronx, Harlem. Give us a little bit about just that whole perspective.
So the exhibition is in partnership with Elizabeth D. Gallery, which is located in Harlem on 126th and 5th. And part of the space was actually the original Studio Museum space. And so we, last year, started to work in collaboration to develop this series selections, specifically focusing on artists from the community, so that being Washington Heights, Harlem, and the South Bronx. And so this year's the second iteration, and we have a new group of 4 artists: Anthony Giannini, Arini Maga, Leslie Jimenez, and Ronnie Quevedo. And then concurrently, one of the alumni from the show last year, Lucia Hierro, we're actually doing her New York City debut, which is an exhibition entitled Mercado.
Wow, wow. So for those people who want to know a little bit more about what's behind this, give us a little bit of the background of what's behind.
So for me personally, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. I didn't necessarily grow up going to museums, but I have discovered in my adulthood the power of art to change the way we think about ourselves, to change the conversation, change the discourse. And so I'm really invested in artists, particularly emerging artists of color, whether that be Black, Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, and giving them a platform to have their voices be heard. And so with these 2 exhibitions, it's really continuing in that interest, but particularly also just finding artists who, are making great work. And I think are on the cusp of, really exploding into the art market and representing, our community internationally.
Yeah, so how'd you go about finding these guys? And ladies, I should say.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a lot of hard work. I think this was one of the toughest shows to put together because I really, as a Bronxite, I was super sensitive to the dynamic in terms of the mix of artists and also the things and concerns that the artists are interested in their practice. So you have Ronnie Quevedo, whose work, some of the things he's thinking about is migration. As someone who was born in Ecuador, grew up in the Bronx. You have Leslie Jimenez, who's a mother. She has a series called Humble Heroes, and she was reflecting on celebrating just, the role of parenting and also the caregivers that she sees in her community who happen to be mostly immigrants. Or Arini Maga's, her show, or her portion of the show is celebrating the unmonumental. So it's something as simple as iPhone earphones or cigarette butts or pencils, really small things innocuous things that are part of our everyday life that we normally ignore. And then Anthony Giannini, who's using different collage techniques to create paintings that look at the sacred and the mundane. And then, you juxtapose that with Lucia's show, which is introducing these larger-than-life bags. And that really looks at a conversation around, cultural and economic exclusion. So taking something familiar like a tote bag and items that are, if you grew up in New York or if you're of Dominican descent, you know what a supermarket circular looks like, you know what Goya beans look like, you know what Jordans look like. But how do you take those familiar objects and then use them as a subversive tool to talk about oppression, to talk about fetishization of communities that would be considered to be on the margins. So there are a lot of themes that the artists are proposing through their work. And for me, when I was initially just putting everything together, I was just thinking about the notion of migrating the margins, and now Harlem and the Bronx have become these center points of conversation and experience for contemporary art. What does that really mean? And how do you showcase artists that reflect that? So it was a lot of talking to friends, talking to other artists, doing studio visits, scouring the web. But I feel like, I basically left no stone unturned in order to find artists who I feel truly represent these concerns and these ideas and represent our community.
Well, you certainly repping the Bronx.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you for repping the Bronx
Thank you.
in a major way.
Yeah.
So for people who want to find out more, see more, what do they do?
Yeah. So you can check out the exhibition online to get more information at elizabethd.com. You could also follow the conversation online at Lucia Hierro Mercado, hashtag Lucia Hierro Mercado. and then also #selections 2008. This Saturday, February 3rd at 1:30, we're going to do an artist talk with the artists who are in selections. And then on February 10th, we're going to do an artist talk with Lucia and Doug Ashford. And also, another thing, just one more quick point, I also really want to make sure that kids in the community are seeing the exhibition.
Right.
So if anybody, whether you're a teacher or you have an after-school program, is interested in bringing their students, I'm more than willing to give them a tour. So they can reach out to me. I'll give you my email, Larry at myglobalhustle.com. That's again, Larry at myglobalhustle.com. If you want to bring your students, send me an email. We'll organize a day, because that's also, for me, the core component with this exhibition, is making sure that kids see artists that are reflective of themselves and reflective of the community.
That's awesome. Larry Ossei-Mensah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, sharing, my brother, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All righty. Larry Ossei-Mensah, curator from the Bronx, repping the Bronx, and that's a great way to end the show, repping the Bronx. Listen, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank our guests for joining us, but most of all, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67. If you're watching on Verizon Fios, of course, that's Channel 33. Or you can watch us anytime, and I mean anytime, 24 hours a day on the web at BronxNet.org. For all of us here on the set of Open, I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open.